Free rocks. Don't we all love free rocks? Isn't that why we show up at beaches and walk and look and hunt and pick and find rocks, and then eventually you have so many rocks you don't know what to do with them? Here's what I do with them. I do landscaping, and I get free rocks at construction sites. If you ask permission, probably even if you don't ask permission, but I want to make sure that I ask. And it's surprising the things that I find. I got to this point and I thought, why am I not filming this? So I had this load, which from the fence back to the tailgate, I had this about like so, and I've been transporting these rocks to the back. The bigger ones are going to help me with other rocks that I don't want to roll all the way down the hill. You'll see when I show you what my project is. But I'm transporting these down to my new landscaping that I'm putting in with a lot of local rock. And I thought I'd just take you along for a few minutes on this little journey of what I'm working on. I just got to point out though, look at this glorious piece of Sharon Conglomerate. I mean, that is amazing. And then there's other pieces just like it, and then you get various colors. The sandstone is pretty much the same, but there is some variation with some of the other pieces. This is nice. I enjoy it. All those quartz pebbles, basically eroded down from the Appalachians. We live in the Allegheny Plateau, so a lot of what we dig up in our yard is from the glaciers. Here's another one. I have not figured this out yet. You know, first glance it looks like, well, maybe that's just asphalt, and if so, it'll go in the trash. But it's possible that it's something else. Now the way to tell is to put a match to it, and if it stinks, then okay, you know that you've got asphalt. So that's an interesting piece. I decided to go back and get some more. It's a lot of fun to see the various colors and layers of sediment was laid down, and you end up with beautiful formations like this. Now this is not hard at all. You can cut this with a knife practically, or at least scratch it, gouge it. Now this is a lot harder. It's interesting, you've got black, and you've got sort of a greenish, and you've got brown, lots of green, various kinds of green. So you've got this green and this green, and this is even greener than the rest of it. That has some pretty little inclusions. This is like a granite. You always have the rust-stained rocks. Some pink. It's always nice to see some pink in the garden. And then there's a lot of these concretions that are just fascinating. What's going on there? Same thing with this, all brecciated. Interesting. So many different rock formations. How do you like that? Nice little Sharon Conglomerate. And then if that's not big enough, then there's a big one. And there are a lot of variations in those. You know, you don't really think so much of a construction site giving you a lot of variety, but absolutely it does. The other thing is, I got all this for free. I would hate to think of what I would have paid for all these rocks if I had bought them at landscapers. As you can see, I don't fill the whole back end of the truck up, but I do pick up some and bring back what is manageable for me for a short amount of time. But I wanted to just give you an idea of how many rocks I would go and get. All right. This I'm carrying down the hill. I would be driving this back, except it's been raining, so the ground is kind of soft and I don't want to make ruts. Here's my project that I've been working on. The small stuff, like this, I've been buying So this is local rock that you just get at the landscapers. But there's some interesting stuff in here. It's fascinating. You think, okay, why are you doing this in the rain? Well, for one thing, weather doesn't bother me. I have a raincoat. Why can't I do it in the rain? The other thing is you can see your rocks a lot better. Here's the thing that gets me. So, little geode. And you do find these in the Great Lakes area. And that's what that is. We get a lot of this stuff where it's one little rock encased in some other like siltstone type stuff, and these things break, and it's pretty interesting what you see sometimes. So I like that. Here's one that really baffled me. So you got this big piece of sandstone, and then look at that, embedded in the sandstone is a nice chunk of jasper. Now it has occurred to me, see that line right there? It has occurred to me to hit that with a chisel and see what I might find. I'd be interested to know how big that piece is. Probably not going to be very big, but I might do that with this video, or I might wait and do it at another time. All right, let's see what this does. We got our chisel, we got our hammer. I am actually prepared to be underwhelmed by this, but the one good thing is I will have two rocks, at least two rocks after this is over. All right, well, that piece came off. Nice little piece of sandstone, I can use that. Oh, well, that's interesting. There is more than just that one piece. Whatever these things are, they just got kind of included in whatever else was going on. Oh yeah, well, that came out, so I'll be able to put that in the polisher, see if it actually is what I think it is. It seems softer than what I expect, so I'm guessing it's not jasper. What it is, though, I have no idea, so I'll check that out. I'm not quite sure about this. I think I'm going to have to take a look at that. It almost looks fossilicious. Found that in some of my work here, and this other little piece of Sharon Conglomerate. I think that's pretty cool. I enjoy finding this. Most of this is just local stuff that I've gotten from the construction site, although the little pieces, I bought those. $70 a yard, so maybe a ton so far that I've moved down here. So what I've been doing, I just take one of these bigger ones, like so, and since everything has a tendency to roll downhill, I'm just gonna place this in here, and that will, once I dump the other rocks in, then that will keep everything from just blump, 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 rolling all the way down to the end of my property. So you can kind of see the pattern that I'm working with here. And these are some little trees that I like. You know, you drive through Kentucky and you see a lot of cedar trees along the interstate, and you see redbuds as well. So I like that look. So I've got these little dwarf Alberta spruces that I picked up for $5 or $10 at the local store. And then this is a nice little redbud tree that I just bought for $10. When this is mature, it's going to look really pretty. So again, I'm just placing these things here and there. The more spectacular things I like putting in a more prominent spot, and then the ugly stuff can go anywhere. Okay, these are really good for holding down the cardboard, which goes down first, and then the landscape fabric on top of that. Yeah, I know you're supposed to dig out all the grass. I don't do that. I'd rather be doing other stuff. That's a little bit of a granitoid. I do enjoy the little surprises that I get once in a while with just even the rock that I purchase. So look at this here. Look at that. That's a little concretion. I just love the way that formed around something else and then got broken, and then the other part is missing. It might be in this pile somewhere, who knows, but it's kind of cool. That's another beautiful piece with some iron staining on it. That's cool. Look at that. I always think that's really cool too. Some mineral that's washed over that and just stayed. It makes for something interesting. And then you've got this little guy hiding out in there. Might be a fossil in there for all I know. Look at that, isn't that cool? It's just beautiful the way things happen. Layer after layer after layer. Okay, here's something that just doesn't make any sense to me. Although glaciers can do amazing things. Yeah, and along with erosion and all the things that rocks do when they sport around. So I'm digging a hole for this little guy, and all the rocks that I dug up just to plant that one little tree are right here. Yes, even the big ones, they all came from right there, just one little hole. The little ones and the big ones. And here's the other thing that I don't get is, see that? That is a Gowganda tillite. A Gowganda tillite in my yard south of Cleveland. What in the world is it doing here? You know, it's just incredible. A Gowganda tillite. So that came along with all these other ones. This Gowganda tillite I dug up when I think it was one of these other little pine trees or arborvitaes, another Gowganda tillite, south of Cleveland. This belongs in Lake Huron or north. It doesn't belong here. I mean, yeah, you find them sometimes in Lake Michigan, but I've never really found one, I don't think, in Lake Erie. But here they are, and this has not been landscaped before. So it's not like somebody had a rock collection that they decided to bury out here. Just go figure. How Gowganda tillite ends up south of Cleveland. I love it. I just love it. As you can see, this is a work in process. But it just goes to show you, if you go to a construction site, and I got these rocks from a place where they are putting in a subdivision, there's a point at which they've sold all the really good rocks to landscapers, and they still have tons and tons of these, what I would call headstones, which means they're about the size of your head, and they're just in the way. And at least the guy that I talked to said, you can have as many as you want, just random rocks here and there, pick them up, put them in your truck, take them away. And I get surprised every time I work with this stuff, like, what in the world is this? What is that? It obviously has had a little trip with some wave action or a stream or something, got ground down into this nice smooth stone, except for these little ridges. Is it some kind of biological thing going on? I don't know. I'm gonna have to find out. But it's cool. I'm gonna have to do some more research. Always more to learn. Well, this is it from me for right now. Stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be more. Like, what? What in the world is that? Look at that. And look at this. And look at this. Don't look at that.